Deep within the remote jungles of Guyana, a place shrouded in mystery and isolation, a tragedy of unimaginable proportions unfolded, leaving an indelible mark on history and the collective consciousness of the world. On November 18, 1978, over 900 people, including more than 300 children, died in a mass murder-suicide in a settlement known as Jonestown. This event shocked the world and raised questions about the nature of cults and the vulnerability of human psychology. This horrific event, etched into history as the Jonestown Massacre, remains one of the most perplexing and horrifying examples of cult-related deaths. The sheer scale of the tragedy and the chilling details that emerged in its aftermath continue to haunt those who study it. At the heart of this tragedy was a charismatic yet deeply disturbed man named Jim Jones, the leader of the People's Temple. Jones's influence over his followers was profound, and his ability to manipulate and control them was both extraordinary and terrifying. Jones, who had initially preached a message of racial equality and social justice, gradually transformed into a messianic figure, demanding absolute obedience from his followers. His sermons, once filled with hope and promise, became increasingly dark and apocalyptic. The events in Jonestown were a culmination of Jones's growing paranoia, his insatiable need for control, and the blind faith he instilled in his followers. As his mental state deteriorated, so did the conditions within the commune, leading to a tragic and inevitable conclusion. This essay delves into the dark tale of Jonestown, exploring the factors that led to the massacre, and examining its enduring impact on our understanding of cults and the dangers of unchallenged authority. By dissecting the psychological and social dynamics at play, we aim to uncover the lessons that can be learned from this devastating event. From Jones's early life and the founding of the People's Temple to the harrowing details of the massacre and its aftermath, this narrative provides a comprehensive look at the rise and fall of Jonestown. We will trace the origins of Jones's ideology, the growth of his following, and the ultimate descent into madness that led to the tragic end. This narrative aims to shed light on the events that transpired in that remote jungle commune and their lasting significance. By understanding the past, we hope to prevent such tragedies in the future and honor the memory of those who lost their lives in Jonestown. James Warren Jones was born in 1931 in a rural Indiana town. His early life was marked by loneliness and a fascination with religion. As a young man, Jones developed a powerful preaching style, drawing in crowds with his charisma and message of social justice. He railed against racial segregation and championed the poor and marginalized, attracting a diverse following in Indianapolis. In 1955, Jones founded the People's Temple, initially as an integrated church promoting racial harmony and social reform. His message resonated deeply in the turbulent 1960s, a time of social upheaval and civil rights activism. The temple offered its members a sense of community, purpose, and belonging, attracting people from all walks of life searching for something to believe in. As the People's Temple grew, so did Jones's influence and control over his followers. What started as a movement promising equality and social justice soon morphed into something far more sinister. Jones's charisma and promises of a better future drew in people from all walks of life, creating a diverse and devoted congregation. He began to demand unquestioning loyalty and obedience, positioning himself as a father figure and a Messiah-like figure. His followers were encouraged to see him as the ultimate authority, someone who could lead them to salvation and protect them from the evils of the outside world. Those who questioned his teachings or authority were publicly humiliated or physically punished. The atmosphere within the People's Temple became increasingly oppressive, with fear and intimidation used as tools to maintain control. Jones's behavior became increasingly erratic, fueled by a cocktail of drugs and his growing paranoia. He began to see enemies everywhere, convinced that the government and other external forces were out to destroy him and his community. He claimed to have supernatural powers, could heal the sick, and predicted impending nuclear apocalypse. These claims further solidified his followers' belief in him, as they saw him as their only hope for survival in a world teetering on the brink of disaster. To escape what he perceived as a corrupt and doomed society, Jones sought to establish a utopian community free from external influence. This vision led to the creation of Jonestown, a remote settlement in the jungles of Guyana. He spoke of a promised land, a socialist paradise where his followers could live in peace, harmony, and equality. The idea of a self-sustaining community, isolated from the perceived corruption of the outside world, was incredibly appealing to many. This vision resonated with his followers, many of whom were disillusioned with the outside world and drawn to the sense of security and belonging that Jones offered. The promise of a better life, free from the struggles and injustices they faced, was a powerful motivator that kept them loyal to Jones and his dream. In the early 1970s, Jones moved his followers to a remote settlement in Guyana, a small South American nation. This settlement, carved out of the jungle, became known as Jonestown. Jones presented Jonestown as a sanctuary, a socialist utopia where his followers could live in peace and harmony, free from the evils of the outside world. However, the reality of life in Jonestown was far from idyllic. Jones ruled Jonestown with an iron fist. Armed guards patrolled the perimeter, and residents were subjected to constant surveillance. Hard labor was mandatory, food was scarce, and dissent was met with swift and brutal punishment. Jones's paranoia intensified in the isolation of the jungle, and he tightened his grip on every aspect of his followers' lives. Section 5. Behind the Facade: Life Inside Jonestown. Life in Jonestown was a far cry from the paradise that Jones had promised. Residents worked long hours in the fields, often suffering from exhaustion and malnutrition. Families were separated. Children were subjected to Jones's indoctrination, and any sign of dissent was ruthlessly suppressed. Jones's paranoia extended to every facet of life in Jonestown. He implemented a system of informants and encouraged public confessions of disloyalty. Beatings, imprisonment, and psychological torture were commonplace. Jones also conducted white nights, terrifying drills where residents were made to drink a liquid they were told was poison, testing their loyalty and further breaking down their will. In 1978, concerned relatives of Jonestown residents contacted California Congressman Leo Ryan, urging him to investigate allegations of abuse and human rights violations within the settlement. Ryan agreed to visit Jonestown, accompanied by a group of journalists and concerned family members. Their arrival in Jonestown offered a glimmer of hope to some residents who saw this as their chance to escape. Initially, Jones welcomed the delegation, attempting to showcase Jonestown as a thriving community. However, as Ryan spent more time in the settlement, he became increasingly aware of the fear, control, and abuse that permeated Jonestown. Several residents, sensing an opportunity for freedom, secretly pleaded with Ryan to help them leave. On November 18, 1978, as Congressman Ryan and his delegation prepared to depart Jonestown with a group of defectors, tragedy struck. Jones's loyal security guards opened fire on the airstrip, killing Ryan, 3 journalists, and one of the defectors. The horrific attack marked the beginning of the end for Jonestown. Back in Jonestown, a sense of dread and inevitability descended upon the community. Jones, realizing the gravity of his actions and the imminent arrival of authorities, gathered his followers. He spoke of a world filled with evil and claimed that suicide was the only way to escape the impending persecution and preserve their utopian dream. What followed was a horrific scene of mass suicide. The Jonestown massacre sent shockwaves around the world. The image of over 900 bodies, including hundreds of children, lying lifeless in the Guyanese jungle became a haunting symbol of the dangers of cult mentality and the destructive power of a charismatic leader. The phrase "drinking the Kool-Aid," a misnomer as the actual beverage used was Flavor Aid, became synonymous with blind obedience and unquestioning loyalty, a chilling reminder of the tragedy. The aftermath of the massacre raised countless questions about the nature of cults, the psychological hold leaders like Jones have over their followers, and the social and cultural factors that contribute to such tragedies. The legacy of Jonestown is a complex and tragic one. It stands as a haunting chapter in history, a stark reminder of the potential for human tragedy when power is abused and unchecked. It serves as a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked power and the devastating impact it can have on innocent lives. The allure of charismatic leaders can be dangerously compelling, drawing people into a web of manipulation and control. This tragedy underscores the importance of critical thinking, encouraging individuals to question and analyze rather than blindly follow. It also highlights the need for greater awareness of the signs of cult activity so that such dangers can be recognized and avoided. The devastating consequences that can arise when individuals are stripped of their agency and autonomy are a sobering lesson for all. In the years since the tragedy, efforts have been made to honor the victims, ensuring their memories are preserved and respected. Memorials have been erected, serving as places of reflection and remembrance for those who lost their lives. Documentaries and books have been produced, providing detailed accounts and analyses of the events that transpired. Organizations dedicated to cult awareness and prevention have been established, working tirelessly to educate the public and prevent future tragedies. The story of Jonestown serves as a cautionary tale, a powerful reminder of the fragility of human reason and the potential for manipulation. It reminds us of the importance of safeguarding individual freedom and critical thinking to protect against such tragedies in the future. By learning from the past, we can strive to create a future where such events are not repeated and where the value of human life and freedom is upheld.